Hey everybody, Goddess of the Universe is in the building. Now, whoever thought God is so cool, right? That's what I be thinking sometimes. I be like, God is the coolest. I love it. Either way, how's everybody doing today? Are y'all good? I'm great. Thank you for asking. I'm just chilling right now, but I had something on my mind. So I said, let me just do some recording. So let me tell you stuff about this spirituality, right? Spirituality is the most amazing thing. You don't have to be religious. Now, I was raised as a Christian, so I do believe in Jesus. I believe in heaven and hell. That's the life I lived, right? But I remember when I was a little girl, my grandma was like, "Oh, you're going to be mad spiritual when you get older." And when I was younger, my grandma was into like candles and Um, she always read the Bible to us, but she was into candles and herbs and oils, just little things that I was raised around. But I didn't really understand what that was about. I didn't really like it neither. She was like a psychic, right? And you know how hard it is having a psychic as your parent? Let me tell you something. That's not an easy thing to have, all right? She know what you're going to do when you're about to do it. And you always get in trouble for some shit you about to do. Excuse my French, but you ain't do it yet. But she done went to sleep and then woke up with gifts and dreams, and I will always be in trouble. Sometimes I didn't even like her going to sleep. I go in there and try to wake her up on purpose, just so she wouldn't find out what I did in my day. But so I was totally against all of that as a kid. But throughout my years and my journey, I strayed away, but then I came back to the Lord, and I noticed that whenever I would get these feelings in my gut, which is another way of describing your intuition, right? But I would get these feelings in my gut, and then sometimes I'll be getting ready to do something, and all of a sudden I'll hear that voice quietly in my head, like, "Nah, don't do that." And I be sitting here like, "What do you mean, don't do that?" First of all, who said that, right? Like, who said don't do that? So I'll be like, "Nah, I'm gonna do it, right?" And the voice would be like, "Nah, don't do that. Ain't nothing good gonna come out of you doing that." And I'll be like, "Nah, I would do it anyway," because I'm a younger person. I'm a teenager. Teenagers are the most defiant. So even with our own thoughts, we like, "Nah, we gonna do what we want." Anytime something turned out for the worse, I would have that reminder of that voice that I ignored. I was like, why did I ignore it? I should have listened, you know what I mean? But in that moment, I just thought it was a voice hating, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know who the voice was, but it was going against what I wanted, so I didn't like it, right? Period. As I started maturing and getting older, I started saying, hey, every time this voice tells me not to do something and I listen, everything turns out well. But every time the voice tells me to do something and I don't listen, nothing ever good comes out of that. So I started saying, hey, let me listen to this voice. And it's funny because I was in all type of scenarios, and there's been plenty of times when the voice be like, don't go in here, and I won't go in here. And then I find out later that something that took place and it got real crazy. And I'll think back to that moment that the voice said, don't go in there. And I actually listened. And it was like, wow, that saved my life, right? So now, speeding forward, as I've learned, that's our intuition, that's God talking to you, right? I'm like, oh, because sometimes I would argue with this voice. I'm telling you, there have been times that the voice tell me to do something, and I'd be like, I don't want to do it. Like, I just don't want to do it. You know what I mean? In that moment. And if it's something that's really detrimental that I have to do it, there's no arguing with God. God gonna make you do it. You know what I mean? But of course, we all have free will, right? So if it's not something that's too major, He will ask you or tell you, "Nah, don't go that way. Go that way. Don't do this. Don't do that." But if it's something that's like not ordained in your plan, God is a protector, so He will jump in and guide your butt And then later on, you will be thankful that it happened. I know I had so many experiences like that that I didn't understand what it was. I just know I put it as coincidences, right? I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm lucky. I'll say all this craziness to rationalize what just took place, because as humans, we are we use mainly our left side of our brain, and that's our rationalization part of our brain, where it got to make sense. Make it make sense. You always hear people say that, make it make sense. That's them trying to rationalize whatever you're saying to them. But when it comes to spirituality, there's no rationalization. Now, science will always try to figure it out, because that's the rational side, the scientist in you trying to understand. It got to make sense, it has to have an explanation. But when it comes to magic and mystery, there's no explanation. It's just the unknown. You know it took place. You just cannot explain it. If you told it to somebody, they probably wouldn't believe it, but you know it happened, right? So usually that's how that goes. So as I got older, as I got older, I started looking into it more, and then started listening to other psychics and mediums, and getting into studying that stuff, and realized, oh, okay, so I'm tapped in. So we have five senses, but there's also a sixth sense, which is our spiritual side. And those who are aware of it, they get to see and hear and things that the naked eye and the plain ear won't see or hear, but it's in another realm, another dimension. You know what I mean? But when it comes to our physical world, we think what's in front of us is what it is. That, I mean, we don't see wind, but yet we still breathe. You know what I mean? We don't see God, but we know He's a creator. So, and even if you don't know He's a creator, go on a spiritual journey, you will know never to question that thought ever again, because He's going to make His presence known. Like, that's how it is. It's nothing to pretend about when it comes to our most high creator of this world, right? So at the end of the day, it's a beautiful journey, but it's a journey of self-awareness. Now, a lot of people are closed-minded and narrow-minded, and they don't like change. I meet so many people that say, I don't like change, I don't like change. And I'm like, change is the only thing that consistently will change. And whether you want change or not, you're going to change. I didn't want to get older. Guess what? I'm older. You know what I mean? I didn't want certain things. Guess what? It's going to happen anyway, whether you like it or not. We don't want tomorrow to come, go to sleep, wake up, you'll be there. You know what I mean? So it's just like we don't have control on natural order. We only have control on things that we can control. When it comes to spirituality, it's an introduction to you loving yourself. It's the introduction to you being deprogrammed from the program. We've been taught things. We've been um, expected to do certain things. We like to do what is normal, or whatever normal is to us, right? We don't like to be outcast. We don't like to be different. But part of the creation of you and me is to be our unique, authentic self. So if you're not willing to be who you're meant to be, and you rather be like everybody else, then you just got a whole bunch of bots running around these streets looking the same, being the same, doing the same thing. And they say insanity is doing the same thing, expecting something different. They lost, you lost too, because you're following them. So part of going off on your own journey is discovering what's best for you, what's meant for you, and where you're supposed to be, and who you truly are. And in this channel, we're going to constantly talk about that. So I just wanted to share that thought that ran through my head, throw some words of joy out there. Of course, you're talking to God, the goddess of the universe. And I just wanted to say hello. Until we speak again, I'm going to always keep it short and sweet. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Listen, if you don't have nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. How about that? But if you have some good stuff to say, drop a comment. Let me know how you feel, what's on your mind, and what can we kick it about. Because in this channel, we like to kick it and shove love and light. Until we speak again, God bless you.